Hi, I'm Chris, and I'm going to tell you how Major General George Armstrong Custer had eyes in the sky to help defeat the Confederate Army.
Hi, I'm Drew, and the facts in my story are definitely not inflated.
Hey, I'm Allan, and what does a tire company have anything to do with blimps?
What do all of these things have to do with the word balloon? Find out in this week's episode of History Bluffs. Hello and welcome to another episode of History Bluffs. It's where truth is stranger than fiction. I want to welcome to the stage, to the show, it's your host, Adrianna.
Hey!
There she is.
Oh, thank you. So much applause. Thank you. Oh, shucks. Thank you, guys.
They're there for you.
Only me and Chris, Drew, and Allan. Hello, guys. How you doing?
Of course.
Hey.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello. Well, welcome everybody to History Bluffs. We're super excited to have you today. Our theme is so much fun. Balloons. Yay!
That's true. Balloons they're always fun. It's like if there's balloons, it's a party or an open house real estate event.
Or my favorite memory of a balloon, which is Balloon Boy. Do you guys remember that?
Oh, wait. Is that a Nintendo game?
No, Balloon Boy.
No,
The media event.
The media event.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Where were you guys when Balloon Boy happened?
What the heck?
Okay, I'm thinking this was like 15 years ago, right?
Wait,
yeah, just about.
Was this the kid in the lawn chair that he...
The kid, yeah.
Wait, that had to have been like 89.
It was
No.
No.
It was like 10, 15 years ago for sure.
Really? I had no idea. Okay.
I was in California working at P.F. Chang's, and it was on the TV, and I was just mesmerized. I couldn't believe this kid was floating into space, and then he was in the attic the whole time.
What? I'm gonna have
It's
to look
crazy.
this up.
That is not a bluff. You guys can look it up. I'm just
I was
hosting.
gonna
But
say, like, he was found, like, wasn't there,
He
right?
was found.
He was never
No,
in the
he was
balloon, but the parents
was never
lied
in
about him being in the balloon.
Yeah.
Oh, Balloon Gate.
Balloon Gate. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Well,
Sadly,
welcome
Adrian-
everybody.
Thank you, yes.
I'm sorry, Chris. What'd you say?
No, welcome. Thank you.
Welcome, everybody. We have a really great show for you tonight. I want to jump in and get you guys the rules and how the game works. Adam, will you put the rules up for us?
Yeah, let's do it. This is a game show, Adri. So we're going to do some rules. I'm going to put them on the screen for those listening
go.
and not watching. Adri's going to tell you the rules.
Exactly. So today, historians are all inspired by the topic balloons. True stories are factual, and two of our historians are going to be telling a true factual story, and one is going to be bluffing. Now, his bluff or her bluff, if it's a different episode, might include real places, real people, real things, but the core of it is a bluff. Now, no
Indeed.
audience, yes, indeed. Now, no audience help is allowed, but we do encourage you guys to be interactive with us.
No, they hate that. They like to help, you know?
They do
really
like to help, yeah.
They do.
We are live, so please send us messages. We can add you on the screen. Your messages, of course. And the one very, very important rule is you can't use Google. You can only use your brain.
That's right.
But we want you to guess. Tell us who you think is bluffing the entire time. It's going to be so much fun. Now,
That sounds good.
the breakdown of today's game show is 3 rounds, and each round is going to get consistently shorter. So the first round is 75 seconds, second round is 60, and the third round is 45. Our historians have that amount of time to tell us their story. All right. Now, we spent all of our budget for the year on the Round Tracker 9000. So, Adam, can you show our guests at home what that looks like?
Let's reveal the round tracker. There it is.
Ooh,
right above your head.
So pretty and pink. Now, as we go, we're going to be filling in the bubbles above, and that way you can keep track with what round we're in. Pretty simple. If you guys have any questions, save them for next week, and we can get started. Historians, give me a thumbs up if you're ready. All right, Adam, we're ready for round 1. Let's do it.
Let's get into round number 1. Here we are. Round number 1. This is where it all begins.
All right, let's do Chris. Since you're at the top, let's start with you.
Okay.
All right,
I'm ready.
I'm going to bring him into the central spot here. And remember, our topic for today is balloon. Let's see where he goes with it. If he's ready to go, and he looks ready. There we go. All right, it begins now.
All right. In 1862, at the age of 22, and 15 years before his death at the Battle of Little Bighorn, the newly appointed Captain George Armstrong Custer went up in a hydrogen-filled balloon over the Virginia Peninsula, not far from Richmond, the Confederate capital. A short and uneventful ride in a balloon is not how George Custer is known today, and this brief episode early in his career is mostly unremembered. We only know what happened because Custer wrote about it. In a surprisingly witty and self-deprecating account of his first trip, Custer recalled how his pilot horrified him by insisting on jumping up and down in the basket to prove its strength. Custer said he thought for sure that they would both fall to their death. This story is about Custer's reluctant observations, because he had many trips he did during the war, but his reluctant observations high above Confederate troops, and how a man named Thaddeus Lowe pioneered sky surveillance to help the Union Army win several key battles, and how President Abraham Lincoln became enamored with this new technology and decided that he was going to invest in it to help for the war effort. More to come in round number 2.
Very nice, Chris. Very nice. Very educational. Very well done.
Thank you. Thank you.
Drew, do you have any comments or qualms with Chris's story?
Yeah, I feel like we just haven't gotten to like the juice yet. So I mean, this all just it seems legit.
Seems legit.
1862, I guess that year checks out.
That is a year.
It existed.
It is.
Year.
Yes.
Civil War was going on. I'll trust that's fact. Yeah, I was curious. It took a minute to get into like if Custer was doing this just as like a sightseeing thing, or if it really had any connection to like a military operation. So I'm interested to hear more about that.
Okay. Well, Virginia is beautiful. I mean,
yes. Allan, what do you got? Any thoughts? I see you're thinking over there.
Yeah, Chris clearly knows that most of us have heard the name Custer. With Little Bighorn and his last stand, and he fought Indians. He's like, wouldn't it be funny if I made up a story about him in the Civil War and he was in a balloon? That would be a fun bluff.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. The only thing I'm thinking is Colonel Custard in the balloon.
With a candlestick? Oh.
With a candlestick, yes.
Mrs. Peacock, what are you doing in the basket? Ay.
All right, let's keep this round moving. Drew, are you ready?
I am. Thank
All
you.
right, Adam, whenever you're ready.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, when I hear the word balloon, the first thing I think of is the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade and all the giant character balloons that make their way down the street towards Herald Square. Some history. Macy's first parade was held in 1922. It featured floats, marching bands, and live animals from the Central Park Zoo. The first year the parade featured balloons wasn't until 1927. Back then, the balloons were more generic than what we're used to today. So they had like a turkey, a clown, a blue hippo, and so on. In fact, it wasn't until the mid-1930s until more like Mickey Mouse and Felix the Cat started to appear. Nowadays, there's always some newer balloons based off of some video game or cartoon that I've never heard of, but you still find your Snoopies and your Kermits. The popular ones are there like pretty consistently. Now, there have been several balloon incidents throughout the parade's history. 1999, a Ronald McDonald balloon had trouble making a turn, hit a street light, knocked it over. Thankfully, no major injuries. 1985, a Superman balloon sprung a leak near Central Park and had to be removed. But the craziest balloon incident happened in 1931, and I'll tell you about that in my next round.
Ooh. Cliffhanger. I like it. Chris, how do you feel about Drew's story?
Well, first I give Drew kudos for saying the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Far too many people call it the Macy's Day Parade. And it's not Macy's Day. It's Thanksgiving Day.
That's true.
You know? It's
You're
the
right.
Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Thank you, Drew, for clarifying that. And also, I will say, hey, 1922, 1927, 1931, all definitely years. Yes, indeed. But I thought it was interesting that he did go backwards in his chronology to build up to the event. He started with the most recent events and went back to 1931. And I'm curious. I would love to hear more detail. The way he described the early balloons that came in 1927. In my mind, I kind of pictured like stick figure balloons. Like they did a hand drawing of a turkey. It was like it looked like this, basically, with a little thing down here.
we had to start somewhere.
Yeah. Chris representing his New York roots, making sure we know it's the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. No one but a New Yorker would know that, but okay. Allan, what do you think? I mean that respectfully.
I mean, I guess my parents were New Yorkers, so maybe that's how I knew that was the case too. So yeah, back in 1922, they were using live animals from the Central Park Zoo. I would have loved to have seen tigers going through the streets of New York City.
That would be awesome. Makes a whole. It's like the Pamplona Bull Run at that point.
Yeah,
They had them on leashes. What were they doing?
yeah,
I
they
don't
ran a little
know.
faster.
They're like, wait, this isn't going to work. Just to do balloons. Okay. All right. So I want to hear the rest of the story. This is interesting so far.
All right.
All right. With that being said, Allan, let's get you into the center.
Okay.
And Adam, whenever you're ready.
All right. Let's do it, Allan.
Okay. Well, I'm talking about the Goodyear blimp. And how am I going to talk about the Goodyear blimp without getting into some history? So back when Goodyear was founded, it was like long ago in 1898. Yes, 1898. And in their earliest days, they were looking to expand beyond just tires. Sure, they put them on things like bicycles and even cars, but they were also going into the business of lighter than air balloons and aircraft in general, and take you to the state of Ohio, where they had the Goodyear tire and rubber Wingfoot Lake Airship Base, which was sometimes called the Kitty Hawk of lighter than air, and it is currently the oldest airship base in the United States. And Goodyear's they entered the fledgling aviation industry when it was established its aeronautics department in the year 1910 to market the rubber-infused fabric coating for airplanes and other lighter-than-air aircraft.
Okay. Well, before I get everyone's opinions, I just want to say congratulations to the three of you for using dates in your history lesson. I really, very well done. We have 1898.
We have dates.
1932, 1862. Very well done, guys. Chris, what is your opinion of Allan's round one story?
He said long ago in 1898, which is a very American thing to do. I'm going to make fun of all of us as an American group. That our history long ago is sadly 1898. I say that only because I was just in Europe on vacation, and their history goes back a lot longer than ours. But and I love how he said, they had he mentioned early on in the career, in the development of Goodyear, the company, that they were looking for more to do than bicycle tires and car tires and aircraft. A lot of car tires and aircraft tires in 1898 were there, Allan? A lot.
Enough to
sure.
support the business.
Wait,
Okay.
Not as many as today.
Yeah. Okay. And then, but I did actually want to ask, just for my own. I wanted to ask him, what was the city that was the Kitty Hawk of lighter than air? What was the city?
Oh, no, I'm saying it was by the Wingfoot Lake.
Wingfoot Lake. Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Because I'd like to try to track those people down to help them with their marketing, because the Kitty Hawk of lighter than air is really a shitty logo. It's a bad slogan. I think I could help them.
All right, let's get them in touch. Drew, what do you think?
Again, Allan had this very just well-paced, drawn out, it he wasn't rushed. He was just telling this, and so that leads me to think that sounds like it could all be true, but that could be like his deception is he's drawing us in with like it's not rushed, which sometimes is the sign of like a bluffer, but I think he's using reverse. Seems
historically that's not a history bluff tactic, but it is interesting to see Allan taking this new approach because he's usually much quicker, zip zip zip, you know what I mean? So
makes you think, doesn't it?
It makes you think, it makes you question things for sure. Well, it looks like we have all 3 bulbs lit up for round 1, which means we're ready to go into round 2.
Let's do it. Round number 2. Here we are. Round 2 has arrived, and we have parades, wars, and
blimps.
Blimps.
Yeah.
Wow, that's quite a roundup. We have.
Absolutely. I'm gonna mix things up. I would like Allan to start this round.
Okay.
And let's get crazy.
All right.
Okay,
Adam, whenever you're ready.
Your round 2. Remember, we're down to 60 seconds per round. It begins right now.
Well, I'm going to actually give you a little bit more history because the company Goodyear was actually named after Charles Goodyear, who discovered the rubber vulcanization process in 1839, another year. Also, you know who else knows vulcanization is this guy right there. And I'll refer to him a bit later on because we're going to talk some more about Goodyear blimp air bases. So there were many air bases throughout history. And in particular, I'm going to rush us to the 1980s, back when I was living in South Florida, North Broward County, and it was actually in 1986 that they founded the Pompano-based station, which was the house of a certain Goodyear blimp by the name of Enterprise.
What?
There you go. Yes, that is all accurate.
Allan, I have to ask, do you purchase a glass for each of your history bluffs, or do you pick your history bluff topics off of your glassware?
I pick my history bluffs topic, and then I look through my glassware to see if it's relevant.
Only his glassware, no other prop.
No other. So
glasses.
far.
So far.
Nothing beyond my glasses.
Now, I'd be remiss not to point out for our audio-only audience that Allan held up a glass with Commander Spock from the Star Trek television series.
Oh,
Yes.
No, I did not.
Oh,
James
Kirk.
T.
No, it was
Kirk.
Kirk. That's right, it's
James T.
Kirk. I
Kirk.
apologize. James T. Kirk.
That's
I
right.
just assumed it was Spock because
Yes.
you had just said vulcanization.
I did. It's just Kirk was very good friends with a certain Vulcan.
That's true. He's as known. Anyway, that was just for our audio. I had to say it.
Yeah.
Go
No
ahead, Adrian,
problem.
the show
Yes.
is yours.
No problem. Chris, what are your thoughts?
Well, as Drew pointed out, Allan's still very methodical and deliberate in his delivery here. So, and he got, he blatantly held up the Kirk glass and then said, "I'll tell you later," and he got right to the Enterprise thing.
That's true.
And he made the huge leap from 1898 in the 1920s and 30s to 1986. That for me kind of took the air out of his story a little bit because there was a lot of big gap missing in the
Oh, that's wow. That was awful.
The air
I loved
straight
it.
out of your blimp.
Oh, that's good.
Just a falling zeppelin. Drew, what are your thoughts here?
Allan is with this story. Allan is boldly going where no man has gone before.
Oh,
Okay, I'm not. Balkanization. It sounds made up, and then it sounds like it could be real. But
We're going under the assumption people haven't heard of vulcanized rubber.
yeah, well,
know your audience.
and if it
Okay,
was
fair.
like, I don't know, and then one little thing that kind of it was a quite a time jump from 1998, 1910 to
1898. Yeah.
So, there's a lot of stuff in the middle there that like is missing. And
These are timed rounds, Drew. Can't do the whole 20th century.
If you could have gotten it in, if you talked faster. But
Okay.
Well, you heard it there first.
Is anyone ready to make an allegation, or do we want to continue on with round 2?
I'm not ready to make an allegation, but I do want to add that I know from my personal experience the easiest way to carry a vulcanized rubber tire is by putting your hands like this.
Live long and prosper. That's amazing. I'm not going to do the trumpet again. It's too soon.
It's too soon. Absolutely.
No.
Let's move it along. Let's get Drew into the center. Drew, you're going to have 60 seconds for this round. Adam, whenever you're ready.
Here we go.
Okay, have you heard the expression "when pigs fly"? Well, in 1931, a 25-foot balloon made its inaugural and final appearance. It was known as Oinker the Pig. Don't laugh. Back then, not many safety precautions were taken in regards to how many people controlled the balloons. Nowadays, there's like 80 people, sometimes 100 people. Back then, it was 10 people for Oinker, 5 on the left and 5 on the right. That Thanksgiving was known as, and still is, one of the windiest and coldest Thanksgivings in history of the parade. Oinker's handlers had their work cut out for them. And as they made their way down the street, their bad luck continued. One of the 10 handlers tripped and fell and caused him to let go of the rope. As that happened, the balloon started to sway up and down. A few of the other handlers panicked and let go of their ropes. And soon the balloon was out of control. It rose up, and one guy fell 10 feet. More.
Wow. Hey.
That's
That is almost unbelievable. Allan, what are your thoughts on Drew's story?
I love Drew's storytelling ability here. He's like, I know, I'll make up a story about pigs flying, and it'll be this pig that flew. And then it'll be a horrible tragedy, and then it's Oinker the pig is the name he came up with. Okay.
Original.
That's very funny.
It was generic. It wasn't like Porky the pig that wasn't around yet. Okay.
Right. Chris, what do you think? What are your thoughts?
Well, I concur with Allan. I give Drew again. I give Drew tremendous kudos for saying "Oinker the pig" with a straight face, because both Allan and I audibly laughed out loud during that portion of his story. And so Drew held his straight face, good poker face, well done. And there's 10 people holding, and because one guy drops his rope, everybody else is like, whoa, it's like, and then one guy fell 10 feet. I laughed at that part too, and I apologize to his family. I presume the guy's not still alive from 1931, but he scraped his knee and falling from 10 feet. So very serious injury. I don't want to downplay that at all. But I'm having a hard time grasping that one guy dropping the rope will cause other people to immediately drop their rope too, unless they were going down to help the guy up or something. I don't know. But so I'm becoming more and more skeptical as we go forward.
Rightfully so. All right, Chris, would you like to take the wheel?
Sure, I will indeed.
You're gonna have 60 seconds to finish your second round. Whenever you're ready, Mr. Adam.
All right, let's do it. Your round begins right now.
Okay, so early in the war, President Lincoln recognized the usefulness of surveillance from the sky. By the time Custer went up in 1862, tethered balloons were already being used for surveillance by the Union Army. A man named Thaddeus Lowe is the reason why. Because in April of 1861, Lowe flew one of his balloons over Unionville in South Carolina, which had just seceded from the Union. And he landed, and he was immediately captured by Confederate troops as a Union spy. And Lowe just simply claimed that he was a man of science doing, atmospheric, lab tests and such. And the Confederate Army released him. He immediately went back and reported to Union officers that he was able to see Confederate troop movements, etc. And Lincoln immediately gave him money to build what he called a balloon corps. And they came up with, he built 8 more balloons that they started using for surveillance from the sky in the Civil War.
Interesting. Balloon corps. I'd love to see what their oh my gosh, what is it called when you show up for your military
Boot camp.
boot camp? Yeah, the boot camp for the balloon corps. Yeah, I want to see that.
It's all clowns, Adrian. It's all clowns. This is rows of them.
Clown shoe camp.
Yeah. Instead of shaving their head, they get like a big clown hat.
They get the bozo
Red
things.
fro.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
Alan, what do you think about Chris's round 2 story?
This is a fun story. This guy Thaddeus Lowe was in a balloon spying on the South. He winds up in enemy territory, and he's like, no, I'm not with the Union Army. I'm a man of science. And then he goes back to Lincoln, and Lincoln's like, that actually worked? Do like 8 more balloons like this. We're going to keep doing this.
That's true.
It's just,
That's great.
Remember, the story is you're a man of science. They'll let you go.
Yeah.
That's how we won the war.
Yeah. Nothing else to do. Is just balloons.
Yeah.
Drew, what you got?
Thaddeus Lowe sounds made up to me. I mean, anything worse would have been if he called him Thaddeus High because he's
Really? That's good. I'll give you that.
And then I like the idea of like when Lincoln gave them money, and all that picture is like Lincoln handing over like a 5 and saying, "Oh, that's me."
No.
But, the man of science. I'd like to see someone try that today, like crashing into enemy territory. And no, I'm a scientist. And
Because that makes it cool.
So
it sounds a bit like the whole Chinese balloon that recently flew over the entire country before they decided to stop it.
Oh yeah, the one that came in through Canada. Yeah,
stolen from the headlines. I know it.
Headlines. Well done. That's very topical. We like to be topical here. Okay.
Absolutely. Adam, can we get the Round Tracker 9000 back?
You know we can. Right there it is, right up at the top.
There it is. We've got round 1 and 2 completely done.
Yes,
We're ready to go to round 3, where our contestants are going to have 45 seconds to wrap up their stories, and then we're going to have accusations, and then we're going to figure out who the bluff is.
Oh, it could be anyone.
It could be anyone. It could be me.
It could be you, but it wouldn't make sense. You don't have no story, but it could be you anyway.
Yeah.
Well,
absolutely.
Enough of that. Let's do it, Adrian. Let's go to round number 3. All right. Here we are.
Excellent.
This is it. The finale.
This is it. First up, we are going to have Drew and his story about Oinker. Adam, when you're ready, can you get the little 45-second clock on the screen? And when you hear the boom, Drew, you can go.
Okay.
Go with Oinker.
All right. Oinker's away.
Oinker's away.
Oinker was loose. He rose and he bounced off of several buildings like a pinball before getting above the majority of the buildings. He made his way over the East River and had a clear path. From there, it picked up speed, moved along northeast along Long Island Sound. The police in Long Island and even Connecticut were started getting calls from people seeing a flying pig, but there's nothing anyone could do. Eventually, the calls stopped, and it appeared Oinker would never be heard from again until 2 days later, a fishing boat off the coast of Massachusetts returned to harbor with the catch of their lives. They had spotted Oinker, and they took turns shooting at it and shot it down and cut it back in, thus ending Oinker's career as parade.
That's amazing. This needs to be a Lifetime original film now.
It's like Godzilla, but Oinker. Wow. Chris, please please share your thoughts with the world.
All right. Well, just a note, excuse me, to Drew for future bluffs that he makes up like this. It's, alliteration works a little bit better. So Pinky the Pig would have been a more believable name than Oinker the Pig. Just saying. And Oinker the Pig bouncing off buildings, going over the, going out onto Long Island, and calls it Connecticut. And if we're talking about a pig that was, 7,000 feet long, maybe they could see it from Connecticut over Long Island. But the Long Island Sound, the Long Island Sound between Connecticut and Long Island is pretty big, and I don't think you're going to be visually seeing a pig balloon from Connecticut over Long Island. And then when he said they started shooting at it from the fishing boat, like, are they fishing or are they shooting at it? At least he didn't say, the captain said, we're going to need a bigger boat.
That's true.
It's very true. Alan, what do you think?
All right, I'm picturing these Massachusetts fishermen going, yeah, that's a pig up there. All right, good.
Yeah.
Hey, Walter, did you bring your gun? Yeah, I brought my gun. You bring your gun? Yeah, that's right. We're going fishing after all. We got to bring our guns. So they shoot in the air, and they shoot down the pig that would never have come down naturally otherwise.
No.
Wow, this is 5 stars. 5-star episode.
This is awesome.
Absolutely. All right, let's move it along. We're in round 3. We're ready for our second one. Let's go to Chris, who's going to wrap up his story about Thaddeus Lowe and Lincoln.
Yes.
Here we
Adam,
go.
when you're ready.
Let's
And
do
Chris,
it.
when you're ready.
All right. So Lowe's names of his balloons were very patriotic. Union, Intrepid, Constitution, United States, Washington, the Eagle. Fast forward to 1862, and George Custer had just been promoted to captain, and he was one of the few Union officers brave enough to go up into an observation balloon under enemy fire. So he did this, and with his what they call field glasses at the time, what we know as binoculars, he spotted enemy camps, and he brought back an invaluable report. By the end of the war, Custer had made several trips in surveillance balloons that had helped him gain a reputation for doing things his own way and being a bit reckless. And throughout the war, Thaddeus Lowe continued using observation balloons, most notably at the siege of Yorktown and the 7-day battle outside Richmond, Virginia. And as we all know, George Armstrong Custer would be remembered for other things later in his life.
All right. Very well done wrapping that up. Alan, what are your thoughts on Thaddeus Lowe and Lincoln?
Well, I've got thoughts on Thaddeus Lowe and Lincoln, but also this Captain Custer. I only have one captain I answer to right there. Yeah, that's right, audience member. Blaspheme all you want, but I'm going to call out Chris and his use of George Custer in this. I have a feeling maybe this really happened, but maybe it didn't involve someone who was involved in Custer's last stand.
I hear an accusation. Drew, what are your thoughts?
Just a few moments ago, Chris was telling me how uncreative my Blinker the pig was. And then he lists off some names of these balloons that couldn't have been more boring and just made no sense. So that seems like a red flag right there.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree. All right. So I guess we're ready to wrap this up. Round 3, third historian. Alan, that's you. Come in the center. You're going to have 45 seconds to wrap this up. You're going to be talking about Captain Bacard. Bacart?
Bacardi, Captain Bacardi.
I'm talking about the Goodyear blimp, but this glass does not have Picard on it. That is Captain James Tiberius Kirk.
Oh, Tiberius. Isn't he from Iowa, I think?
I apologize.
I believe so, yes.
I think I was referencing a wrong Star Trek.
Yes.
You were referencing a wrong Star
It's the
Trek.
wrong crowd
Excellent.
to bring that to, I tell you. All right, here we
But
go.
he was the captain of the Enterprise. I will give you that, Adri.
That's true.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, Alan, your round 3 begins right now.
Well, after that's been cleared up, we have some more technology to discuss because the Goodyear blimp circa the late 20th century, had displays done at nighttime through a variety of either neon, incandescent, or later LED lights. They could do a variety of pixels on the lower belly of the airship. And during Christmas time, they would display animations, i.e., Santa Claus and his reindeer flying across what appeared to be the sky in the middle of the night sky. So what would a little boy looking up see but Santa Claus and Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer? The sundial says I have more time. Is that it?
No, it's looped over. You're done. That's
All
it.
right.
That's it.
That little boy was me.
Aww.
And the ship was the Enterprise.
Adam, is there any chance that all three of these gentlemen got the message to be a bluff? And
I can't say.
three of these stories are ridiculous.
All I can say is I am in charge of assigning the bluff, and I know who the bluff is, but it has also been a very busy week, so we'll just leave it at that. We'll just leave it there.
All right, well, let's get our final thoughts. Chris, what are your thoughts on Allan's third round?
Wow, very much faster paced because he was under the gun.
Yeah,
the time clock. And I love how he threw himself in there. So basically, now if we are saying that he's the bluff, we're denying part of his childhood memory of seeing Santa in the sky. And just today, as a matter of fact, literally in my office today, I saw over the Orlando Executive Airport a blimp in the sky. So a little fortuitous on Allan's part. Get out of my head, Allan. So very interesting. But you know, he had just enough of a mixture, as Drew pointed out earlier. Allan had just enough of a mixture of like really, really specific details and then wildly vague just concepts piled on, which is, as I know from personal experience, a bluff technique. So I'm processing.
Okay. All right.
Oh, Chris, it's funny you mentioned the blimp because I too saw the blimp and I was about 20 minutes away from downtown Orlando. So that thing was just blimping away for unknown reasons. Because what does a blimp do? Like, what do they do?
I don't know.
Blimp's got a blimp.
It's got a blimp. That's what they say.
Drew, any last comments? Did you see the blimp?
I didn't see the blimp. Nor did I see a pig. But Allan, it's a risky move to insert himself into this historic event, now I'm just kind of like checking the math here. He talked about like the history of like it went from neon to pixels to LED lights and stuff. So like I'm like, did Allan? He didn't say like when he saw this, so we don't know if this was like 10-year-old Allan or yesterday.
This afternoon around 1.
I guess it would have been around Christmas, so it would maybe at least last year. It might be a tricky move to make himself the center of a historic event. So that'd be I think, as far as I know, maybe a history bluff first.
All right. Well, Adam, will you put the Round Tracker 9000 back up? We are out of rounds.
There it is.
And with that, it is time for us to make our accusations. Not us, but y'all.
All right, that's right. And don't forget, we have some viewers out there in the internet land. You can use the comment section to make your own accusation as to who you think is bluffing. But in the meantime, we're going to hear from these folks first. Go ahead and make your accusations.
Chris, who do you think is the bluff this week?
Well, because 1898 and the early 1900s and 1986 add up to less than 1922, 1927, 1931, and multiple times of 1930. Plus, I didn't hear anyone say that the people in Connecticut called the police on Santa and the reindeer when they saw it flying overhead.
Did they shoot him out of the sky?
yeah.
Fisherman.
I'm gonna go with the lovable Oinker. I believe Drew is charming and delightful, but bluffing.
Okay, that's one vote for Drew.
Okay.
I also have no idea what Chris said in the beginning part of whatever he said.
He said a bunch of years for some reason.
Arithmetic.
Math.
I was doing
There was a
that.
lot of math, and I just blacked out, I think.
He heard
Drew.
we love dates.
This is a very date-oriented history
Yes.
bluff. Drew, who do you j'accuse?
Okay. Yeah, these both have very feasible parts, but also like just very bluff-centric parts to it. And I don't know, I feel like Allan's story, just because he clearly was trying to distract us with his Captain Kirk glass and his Star Trek references and then inserting himself into the story. I think that's all a tactic planned from the get-go. I think Allan is the bluff.
Okay, this is spicy. We've got one vote for Drew, one vote for Allan. Allan, you're last up. Who was the bluff tonight, in your opinion?
Well, if it was Chris, then Chris is going to get away scot-free because I am accusing the accuser of me, which is Drew. And Drew, that's a fun story about Oinker the pig, but it is too fun because you made it up.
All right.
That's it. That's an accusation.
There you have it. We have 2 accusations of Drew, 1 for Allan, and 0 for Chris.
Wow.
Let's find out if Chris pulled the ultimate bluffery
Wow.
and see who's bluffing.
All right. That's it. Adrian, I'm going to ask you to step off our virtual stage. I'm going to line up the potential bluffers, and we're going to find out now if it was it Chris? In case he got away with it scot-free if it was, or was it Drew? May oinkers fly again someday, we don't know. Or was it Allan, who has the Goodyear blimp, always bringing the good news? I and I alone know. I'm going to reveal right now the bluff this whole time. It was oinkers. It was Drew.
Other way, Drew. Lean the other way. Other
Oh,
direction. Oh, there he is.
There we
My
go.
camera,
It
my
was-
camera was
It's
His
fine.
handler broke.
His
He
handler
fell, so-
dragged him 10 feet. We hear. Come on back, Adri. Let's see. Where are you at? There you are. That
Here
was
I
great.
am.
All right. Great show.
Oh,
Okay.
yes.
Any last questions here? Go ahead. Take it away, Adri.
No last questions for me. I am surprised, but not surprised at the same time. I just want to thank everybody at home watching. The historians, thanks for coming today with such great stories. If you're at home, please like us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch. I think that's all of them.
So far, yes.
And
Wherever
also,
you get
Al,
your, yeah.
Don't forget the LED displays on blimps.
That's
Yes.
right. That's right.
Which-
Like us there too. And don't forget to
Absolutely.
subscribe to podcasts anywhere you get your podcasts. Spotify, Amazon, you name it. We're everywhere. And Adria, do you have anything else?
I don't. I hope you all have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next time.
Let's do it. Okay, we're here every week. We are History Bluffs. Don't forget, it's where truth is stranger than fiction. We'll see you next time.